Having been ditched by Jordan after a disappointing 1992 season, Yamaha found a new partner in the Tyrrell Formula 1 team. In part 2 of this Yamaha and Formula 1 documentary, I will be covering the final 4 years of Yamaha and Formula 1. In an effort to improve the performance of the Yamaha V10, Eddie Jordan put Yamaha in touch with John Judd's engine development company in 1992. This resulted in a deal in which Yamaha would replace their complicated V12 in a John Judd designed V10 for the 1993 season. In 1991, John Judd's V10 had been raced by Scuderia Italia and by the Brabham team in 1992, but neither of the teams had the money to develop the engines properly. John Judd was delighted to pool his resources with those of Yamaha, while Yamaha was happy to find someone with 2 seasons of racing experience with V10 engines. Not surprisingly, F1 observers reckoned that the new Yamaha V10 was a Judd V10 with different engine covers. Now who were the drivers for 1993?
Tyrrell, now with Yamaha engines, had Japanese driver Ukyo Katayama paired with Italy's Andrea De Cesares.
Tyrrell-Yamaha V10C 発進。新鮮な気持ちで希望がムラムラと湧いてきた。F1 に乗る喜び、F1 を走らせる幸福感に浸る。このマシンは92年の 020B を今年のレギュレーションに合わせ改良したものである。テストではエンジンの回転を低めに抑え、足回りのセッティングに重点が置かれていた。
ちょっとワンラップ見せましょうか。はい。いやしかしこの絵には驚かされましたが、まず1コーナー手前でこれはシフトターンしますね。
はい。一つ落としましてね、また加速してまた減速という感じでね、結構忙しいですね。
そうですね。そして S 字に入りますとこれはアクセルワーク。
右足がねブレーキの真ん中のペダルいってる時は減速の時ですよね。
そうですね。
この時にこのヘアピンもそうですけれども、543-2って感じでですね、続けてギアダウンするわけですね。
そうですね。
時々2個飛ばしてるような風にも見えますけどもね。どっちにしてもねうまいですよ。僕も初めてこんな絵は見たんですけども、
右京予想以上にうまいですか。このアクセルワーク
綺麗ですね。足の動きがね。
そうですか。
頭が彼よく動くんでね、足もよく動いてるのかなと思ったら、足はピタッとうまくやってますね。
まるで繊細なピアニストのようなこの動きでしょうか。そして日ストレート、ここで一気に中島さん加速しますが、この 130R のところちょっと注目したいんですが、今
そうですね、多分予選の時はですね、あんなに長くはブレーキはしないだろうと思いますけれども、
そして試験員、
ここが最もねスピードが落ちるところでブレーキも長く使うんですけれども、ここから今度はストレートに向けて、増速という感じですね。
これは右京の心境は別として中島さん、これファンとしては
Tyrrell started the season with an older type of car which was uncompetitive.
Ukyo Katayama still couldn't quite get the hang of his Tyrrell-Yamaha and found the guardrails exerting an almost magnetic attraction.
Midway through the season, Tyrrell introduced a new designed car, but sadly the new chassis was a disappointment as well.
Tyrrell introduced their new 021 and maybe wished they hadn't. De Cesares shunting the Tyrrell-Yamaha is no longer news. As the expressions on the faces of Ken Tyrrell and team manager Rupert Mannering indicate.
Despite progressive performance on the engine side, the Tyrrell-Yamaha V10 combination had a disappointing first year together. In the final standings of the 1993 season, Tyrrell-Yamaha ended up bottom last, even below the dismal Lola Ferrari, which was pretty much the joke of the season.
Drop it. Mark Blundell lands the Tyrrell drive alongside Katayama.
It's nice to come to Tyrrell, it's nice to come to an English team, obviously an Englishman.
Ken Tyrrell is joined by Harvey Postlethwaite at Olympia to unveil the new Tyrrell-Yamaha V10.
The new version of the Yamaha V10 engine had significantly more horsepower than last year's engine, well above 700 brake horsepower.
This is the Tyrrell of Mark Blundell. The camera being mounted inside the helmet. So this is the view the driver has, checking his mirrors there. And Mark on that long straight up to La Combe. And he went off that dry line, John, just to cool the tyres down a bit.
Yeah, the circuit parts of it.
During the Spanish Grand Prix, the Dutch television followed the Tyrrell-Yamaha team and did some nice interviews with key persons of the Yamaha Formula 1 project. But why exactly did Yamaha enter Formula 1?
Well, first of all, as you correctly say, yeah, Yamaha is known as a motorcycle manufacturer, but Yamaha is involved in all sorts of products, and although it seems to be a secret, they're actually the designers and manufacturers of engines for cars for major manufacturers. In fact, for some of the major manufacturers that are competitors of ourselves in Formula 1. And from the Formula 1 side, this is it's motivation for the people for Yamaha, obviously, but maybe more importantly, it's the technical feedback from Formula 1 that goes back into car production engines that is the real key for Yamaha's involvement in Formula 1.
But how many people are you working on the Formula 1 project?
Well, in total, because there is a joint development program, we have a team of engineers working in Japan, and we have a team of engineers working in England. And the engines are actually, the majority of the engines are actually rebuilt in England. But from the two technical sides, we have, let's say, in total, around about just over 40 people.
The average weight of an engine nowadays, because the engine gets smaller and smaller and there are more modern techniques to make them lighter. You don't need to be that specific because sometimes it's a secret.
I think the easiest to say is that it's under 130 kilos, and that's really all I prefer to say.
This year there's been, well, to me, a tremendous change in the Tyrrell team. Part of that, of course, is the Yamaha input. You knock on the doors of the big ones.
We're slowly getting there, yes, step by step. All these things obviously take time, and from where we were last year, the team has improved a lot, the engine's improved, the whole package. To win in Formula 1, you need to have everything anyway. But overall, the whole package has lifted itself up, and yes, you know, let's say we are fighting for top of Division 2, as you say, knocking on the doors of the Big Four. We have now gone back to a pre-Monte Carlo engine for this race, and in Canada, the next race, we will have the Monte Carlo with another step added. So I have to be honest with you and say, no, we don't have a special engine here.
Tyrrell twice in the points already this year. Well, the Tyrrell team is knocking on the doors of the big ones.
Yes, things are getting better. We've got very good engines. We've got two drivers who are looking good, and Harvey's built us a good car. So we look forward to some better results this year.
What does that do to a total team if you look at your mechanics, if you look at your engineers?
Well, of course, it lifts everyone up, but perhaps the most important thing it does is that it helps us to find sponsors for next year.
That same Grand Prix weekend in Spain, Barcelona, Mark Blundell scored Yamaha's first ever podium finish in Formula 1.
The loss of Leto and Brundle to engine failures moves Mark Blundell into third place to score his first points of the season. By taking third place, Mark Blundell gives Yamaha their best ever result.
It's been a tough year for me so far, and for the team, because I put a lot of work in. It's great. Tyrrell-Yamaha, third position. First podium for Yamaha, scored the first point from back in 91.
Ukyo Katayama had some good performances as well in 1994.
As Berger and Alesi get cleanly away at the front, there's mayhem in the middle of the pack and further confusion at the first corner. Zanardi is out. Herbert, Irvine and Barrichello are out. Martinez out. Alboreto, Blundell is out. De Cesaris and Frentzen are out. Hakkinen out. 10 cars are out by the first corner. On board with Katayama on the way down to the first chicane, Alesi's electrics expire. The Frenchman pulling off the racing line towards retirement. Already pulling well clear at the front, Berger leads with the nose of Schumacher's Benetton pushed right up under the rear wing of the Austrian. Berger still leads and Schumacher still presses. And an unfortunate Katayama spins out of third place with his throttle having stuck open. Still, Schumacher cannot find a way past Berger. Lap 15, Jos Verstappen makes his first scheduled pit stop and things go dramatically wrong. Somehow, unbelievably, no one is critically injured. The young Dutchman freeing himself from the car.
At the end of lap 4 of this Italian Grand Prix, the gap between Berger and Hill, 0.8 of a second. The gap between Hill and Coulthard is just over half a second, and that same gap would be between Coulthard and Katayama.
And Katayama in his Tyrrell-Yamaha fulfilling my expectations from the Tyrrell team here this weekend. It's really the first time that we've seen the true potential of this revised Yamaha engine in the Tyrrell chassis, and Ukyo Katayama is certainly using it to very good effect indeed.
Safely we can say, John, that Jos Verstappen is out of the Italian Grand Prix because he came into the pits and he hasn't left the pits yet. So Verstappen out of this race. While Johnny Herbert and Eddie Irvine...
Katayama 5. tilalta ja se nousee 9. Aika rajusti on menty tuonne valliin.
And how good then was that 94 Tyrrell? Okay, it had the Yamaha engine. I'm guessing that wasn't as good as the Renault that you'd had the previous year, but you still managed to get that podium in Spain.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it was a good little car. It wasn't a bad little car by any means. I think engine-wise, you know, as much as I love the guys at Yamaha, I think it probably was behind the 8 ball in performance and weight and dimensional size for packaging. So, you know, you jump from a Renault-powered car, which was just 2,000 RPM and linear when you got in the throttle, and you know, just a different kettle of fish. Yamaha was kind of like, you know, light switch on off, and all these things affect the balance of a car. I mean, you know, when you've got something that delivers power in chunks as opposed to delivering it in smoothness, yeah, it's the basic terms of smooth peanut butter and crunchy. You know, it really is that. You know, and that's what, you know, your tyre wear increases because you can't deliver the power smoothly. You can't set the car up in the same way. And they're the differences. That's what it all gets down to, basically.
In total, Tyrrell-Yamaha collected a competitive 13 points in 1994. In September 1994, Yamaha announced a further 2-year deal with Tyrrell to cover the 1995 and 1996 seasons.
I'm a scat man.
It's wet at Silverstone too, as the new Tyrrell-Yamaha is put through its paces by Katayama. As for the drivers, Mika Salo lands a Tyrrell seat for 95 with just 2 Grand Prix experience. His first in a Lotus at Suzuka last year came by chance, and he was thrown in at the deep end.
For 1995, the FIA demanded Formula 1 engines getting downsized from 3.5 to 3 litres. Basically, the Yamaha engineers made a 3-litre version of their quite successful 1994 V10 engine. The season started well for Tyrrell-Yamaha, with Mika Salo battling it out with the McLaren of Mika Häkkinen for third position in Brazil.
The sudden decimation of the leading runners promoted Mika Salo's Tyrrell to third. This, remember, only his third Grand Prix and his first for Tyrrell. But compatriot Mika Häkkinen was bearing down quickly, and on lap 38, suffering from cramp and exhaustion, the pressure led to the inevitable lapse in concentration.
The next race in Argentina, Mika Salo again was driving very competitively, but also once again he was unlucky. This time he was helped out of the race by backmarker Aguri Suzuki in the Ligier.
Oh, and this is Mika Salo and Aguri Suzuki.
Despite some competitive showings early in the season, the new Tyrrell-Yamaha was not a good car and proved being difficult to set up. Even changing to a more white livery did not make it go faster.
Jetzt wieder eingeblendet, die Ausfallopfer. Dahinter immer, wann es sie erwischt hat. Blundell 17. Panis 13. Alesi 12. Runde. Es sind nur noch 9 Fahrzeuge im Rennen von 24. Damit aber immer noch 3-mal so viel wie beim bis jetzt schwärzesten Tag der Formel 1, was die Ausfälle anging. Anfang der 60er in Monza sahen mal nur 3 Autos die schwarz-weiß karierte Flagge. Und ich höre, wir können runtergeben zu einem sicherlich betrübten Norbert Haug, denn Häkkinen draußen, Blundell draußen. Aber vielleicht lacht er ein bisschen, denn sie sind bis dahin auf jeden Fall prima gefahren.
But definitely you would be taking yourself behind the garages and giving yourself a little bit of a talking to, I think. And not least of which I think Frank would be having a little bit of a talk to him. But he'll know exactly what he did, and he'll be his own worst critic.
Yes, I would suspect that whilst there was certainly a problem with the idle of that car, that there may have been a part of it. Again, we're looking at Damon Hill coping with these back markers very carefully. A part of it that David just simply went a bit too quickly into that corner, and he has made quite a few mistakes again. But then on his side, he knows he's young, he's experienced. It won't be much solace to him, but I'm quite sure that we're going to see Coulthard at the front of Grand Prix racing for a good 5, possibly 10 years to come yet. And this memory, which will be exceedingly painful. Tonight he's going to be lying in bed, probably not sleeping, ruing over what might have been tremendous frustration. In a few years' time, even probably in a few months, it'll be a memory.
Damon Hill goes past Ukko Katayama in the Tyrrell, and that's the 3rd time. Katayama is now 3 laps behind. Effectively, he's the last driver in this race.
Mika Salo managed to collect 5 points towards the end of the year, but overall 1995 was a disappointing season for Tyrrell-Yamaha. However, there were high hopes for 1996, where Yamaha would introduce a brand new lightweight V10. For 1996, Yamaha created the smallest and lightest 3-liter Formula 1 engine ever built. It did not weigh more than 100 kilograms, while competitors like Renault and Ferrari were still building engines around 120 kilograms or more. Towards the end of the 1990s, the trend of new lightweight engines was followed by other engine manufacturers.
Mika Salo and Ukko Katayama stay on at Tyrrell for 96 and like their new contender, even if Ukko finds Salo's seat a little on the large side.
Engine is super good, there's lots of power, and of course we need more, but driver is never happy for the power. Car handles very well, it's very easy to drive. I'm very comfortable in the car, and it just handles nice. It has lots more grip on high speed and low speed, what we had last year.
It's better than the other one car.
Oh, I can't even talk about them in the same day.
24 hours after the launch, a complete new 1996 car received its first shakedown runs at a cold but sunny Brands Hatch circuit. Mika Salo was the driver, and the plan was to take it easy and make sure there were no glitches before the car went to Estoril for serious high-speed testing in preparation for the coming season. '95 hadn't been a good year for Tyrrell, despite the return of pit lane guru Harvey Postlethwaite. An essential part of the package was the new, smaller and lighter Yamaha engine, on paper a vast improvement over the 95 unit. Pre-season it had brought smiles to the faces of drivers, engineers and designers, and at the launch Harvey Pustlethwaite, said he'd asked Yamaha to build him something similar to the engines they build for motorcycle Grand Prix rather than Formula One, although not a two-stroke.
Seem to be working so well here in Melbourne, and they've got a lot of hard work to do. Out onto the circuit comes Japanese driver Ukyo Katayama in his Tyrrell-Yamaha. He had an engine failure this morning, so they've also had to complete a fairly rapid engine change, but I have to say that the new Tyrrell is looking a great deal better than last year's car.
I think you just have to look at the faces of Ukyo Katayama and Mika Salo to see that they are very happy indeed with the performance, chassis performance, and Yamaha's latest version of their V10, a very small, light, compact engine.
The new Tyrrell-Yamaha started the season well, with Mika Salo scoring points in Melbourne and Brazil. In Imola, Mika Salo had another competitive drive, until the Yamaha V10 blew itself up.
And Mika Salo's Tyrrell, which subsequently retires in a cloud of smoke after a Yamaha engine failure.
Mika Salo's blow-up in Imola was the start of a series of engine failures. In total, according to inside sources, nearly 50 Yamaha engines blew up in the 1996 season. Reliability was not the only problem. The new Yamaha V10 was lacking a great deal of horsepower as well. At Hockenheim, the Tyrrell engineers decided to run the cars in qualifying using 4 front tires to reduce the drag. This was a clear statement to Yamaha they did not have enough horsepower.
An 18-second loss, somewhere between 18 and 20 seconds. Well, Salo now is holding Häkkinen and Hill up. Salo's last lap was 156.3. Mika Häkkinen's last lap was 155.5. And Damon Hill's was of the same order. But Salo is driving an absolutely This is a replay of them coming up to Les Combes. And Häkkinen dives out from behind the Tyrrell-Yamaha, has a look, tries to get through on the inside. Oh, no, you do not, says his fellow Finn. These two have a hearty detestation of each other. They raced against each other in Formula 3 when Mika Häkkinen won the British Championship and Salo was second to him. There's no love lost between them, and Häkkinen and Salo will know who's in the other car, of course. Now we're with Mika Salo's car now. Hopefully when he turns in, we'll be able to see how close Mika Häkkinen is behind him. It's just about a car length. meantime, Villeneuve is pressuring Schumacher. He's just gone fast, is Jacques Villeneuve, 153.9. which is about 3 seconds off the lap record held by Alain Prost, 1993. Williams Renault, 3.5 litre engine, but there is Salo.
Mika Häkkinen would overtake Mika Salo in the following lap. Tyrrell-Yamaha scored only 5 points in 1996, and after 4 years they decided to part ways, with Yamaha going to the Arrows team, with world champion Damon Hill as driver.
The switch to Arrows came to many as a surprise, Damon citing Tom Walkinshaw's excellent new facilities as the deciding factor.
He forgot to mention Damon Hill received many millions of dollars for his one-year deal with Arrows.
By the time the car was ready for its first run, the daylight had gone.
He says he can see he knows his way around here with his eyes closed.
Walkinshaw was keen to show his new driver's vision.
Very difficult to get an impression because it was dark, but the car ran around the circuit fine, and we went through the gears and everything was perfect, and that's all they needed to do was to make sure that the car would run.
Practically a whole new team. The Arrows chassis now teamed with a Yamaha engine. And an exuberant Damon Hill hoping to give arch-rival Michael Schumacher a run for his money in 1997 with the help of new partner Pedro Diniz.
Well, I think we'll be doing very well if we get in the top 3.
Especially the stronger D version of the Yamaha V10 made the Arrows-Yamaha combination more competitive in the second half of the season. The new version was also more reliable than in 1996.
Demonhill qui démarre ce warm-up à faible allure, 18e temps provisoire. Demonhill qui a réalisé un excellent 4e temps hier pendant la séance qualificative. Et qui devrait reprendre une bien meilleure place dans la hiérarchie de ce warm-up.
To put it mildly, the first half of the season the new Arrows-Yamaha was not very competitive.
For Hill, a new office and a different end of the grid, with perhaps more time to plan his race. One warm-up lap and the 1997 Formula One World Championship will be underway. Not, though, for 96 champion Damon Hill. What appalling luck. His Arrows-Yamaha unable even to complete the warm-up lap. Hill and Schumacher reliving some moments from their past. Michael with a huge advantage this time as he overtakes on the inside with a lazy following through. A sad end for Hill's race as the Yamaha engine expires. That's Ralf Schumacher around the outside of Hill. Damon Hill has a long hard look at the inside of a lazy, who forgets to check his mirrors and collects the arrows. Hill, making up a lot of ground, goes to pass Nakano. The two touch, both drivers race over, Nakano looking surprised that Hill was there.
I caught him up like, 3 seconds a lap quicker than him, and then he just is blocking me for a lap, so... and I was pretty cheesed off after starting from the pit lane as well, to be honest.
British fans cheer home Damon Hill with his first point of the year in 6th. How Hill's fortunes have changed, passing Herbert Sauber. Diniz nudges Herbert out of the race.
Bridgestone was a new tyre supplier for Arrows and Formula One that season, and they proved being capable in making very competitive rubber for certain tracks. And then it all came together in Hungary. A stronger Yamaha engine, very competitive Bridgestone tyres and a very motivated Damon Hill that day.
Damon Hill a magnificent 3rd fastest. Schumacher leads the field away with Villeneuve and Hill close behind. Hakkinen and Irvine passed Villeneuve toward turn 1. Taking a look around the outside of the Irishman. Hill up to 2nd, followed by Irvine, Hakkinen, Villeneuve and Frentzen.
So we're now on lap 10 in this 77-lap race. The first 5 are together because Frentzen has closed now right up on Jacques Villeneuve, and David Coulthard isn't far behind them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them go through. That's how close it is between Coulthard in 6th position and Michael Schumacher, who is leading. There are only 3.9 seconds.
And Johnny Herbert's going to join the back of this queue anytime soon. Michael Schumacher is going to hold up this train, and we're going to see a lot of good manoeuvring, but then eventually it'll move over for frustration, and somebody will have a stab and there'll be a swap around, because this is what happens there. You have to follow the leader, but sooner or later you say, right, I've got to make a move now or never. And look how quick Hill is coming out of that last corner.
Yes, Damon Hill almost looked as though he nudged the Ferrari. Move over, you can feel him saying in the cockpit, I'm going through, and Damon Hill leads. Oh boy, Damon Hill goes into the lead of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Lap 11, Damon leads again in Hungary, and what is more, he has done something that the others may find very, very difficult indeed, because Michael Schumacher is undoubtedly holding everybody up, and he's going to be coming in, we do believe, but Damon Hill has got past him, and Hakkinen in 3rd position cannot, as you can see.
Hill returns. Another pressure stop for the Arrows team. 7.9 seconds keeps Hill in the running. Hill's performance outstanding, pleasing his fans who have made the trip. Tom concerned as he radios Damon. Cruel luck, the Arrows throttle cutting out. Walkinshaw shaking his head in disbelief. Villeneuve just behind the stricken Hill. passing on the grass. A fortunate win for the Canadian, but a superb drive for Damon Hill. Celebrations in the Williams pit and Arrows. Second, still a very good result. The smile's scarce at Arrows.
Well, I was getting to the point when I thought where I could count on, winning the race, but whenever you think things like that, something crops up. I needed 40 seconds really, not 30 seconds on Jack.
The Hungarian Grand Prix of 1997 would be the closest time ever a Yamaha engine would win in Formula 1. But the season continued.
Häkkinen seems to have laid his demons to rest today, a commanding performance. Frentzen closing on Diniz, moving up to 8th place after a disastrous start. Hill putting in another tremendous drive in the points. Hill stopping once, but stalling the engine. He's furious. A shared sentiment. Diniz pits the second Arrows. A textbook getaway by Diniz. Panis and Diniz fighting for 5th place. Villeneuve bagging 10 valuable points towards the championship. The tension all in the Ferrari garage as Schumacher's old adversary Damon Hill, a lap down, holds him up to allow Frentzen to close.
Right, yeah, exactly. What are you doing?
What do you think you are doing, Damon?
The championship to be decided by these last 69 laps. Villeneuve with too much wheel spin lets Schumacher slip into the lead. Frentzen unable to do anything but follow him. Häkkinen up into 4th with Damon Hill behind, who is immediately passed by Coulthard as well. Schumacher leads, Frentzen second, followed by Villeneuve, Häkkinen, Coulthard and Hill. The story of the race though, Schumacher versus Villeneuve for the World Championship. Jack very quick up into the braking zone as Schumacher turns in and makes contact with the Williams. But Villeneuve is able to continue towards the flag and the championship. Schumacher stranded in the gravel, Ferrari's hopes stranded with him. Hill's last race for Arrows all over.
Jerez 1997 would prove to be the last race of Yamaha in Formula 1 up till now. The Arrows-Yamaha combination ended up 8th in the Constructors' Championship. Arrows would continue with their own V10s made by Brian Hart in 1998.
The stunning Black Arrows A19 designed by John Barnard is powered by its own engine, making the Tom Walkinshaw operation only the second team together with Ferrari to build its own power plant.
Tom Walkinshaw's Arrows got into a dispute with Yamaha.
We decided that instead of wasting the money just renting engines from someone, we would invest it and build our own and hopefully get industry support for it.
Yamaha wanted their engineers to work on the engine and carry out developments, while Walkinshaw was only interested in rebatching the new engine into Yamaha, without allowing Yamaha engineers having anything to do with it. And now a final conclusion about Yamaha's time in Formula 1 is made by Herbie Blash, one of the key figures of the Yamaha Formula 1 program.
Yeah, the Yamaha program, it wasn't a hugely successful program, unfortunately. A lot of that was basically down to finance. The Yamaha program was a very underfinanced program. But when you look at nearly won, and then when you look at the might of Toyota, and you see the effort that they put in, and they never won a race, but we became within one lap of winning, which would have been an incredible story.
Oh, extraordinary.
But yeah, very sad. And that, unfortunately, was also the last season for Yamaha in Formula 1.
Reaching out with both hands, I've gotta feel the kick inside.